Howdy campers, in today's video we're going to talk about wall thickness and how it relates to our awning windows. So each one of our awning windows has three pieces. One is not shown here, that's the blind and screen assembly. But here we have the main window body assembly. This is going to be the part that goes on the outside of your camper. And then on the inside we have what we call an inner frame ring. And the way these two components work together is they will basically sandwich your wall, and you're going to need to make sure you select the appropriate wall thickness so that we can get you the appropriate thickness inner frame ring. So these two components, they are going to come together. They're going to sandwich your wall in here. You can see on the back side here, we have holes where the mounting screws are going to pass through. The screws are going to pass through into the window frame, and they're going to thread into these threaded inserts. So as these two pieces come together, they sandwich your wall. That accomplishes two things. Number one, this is the actual structural mechanism that is going to hold the window into your vehicle's wall. And then if you look here on the back side of this window frame, you have a rubber seal. So that rubber seal is actually going to sit on top of the exterior surface of your van wall. This part here is going to pass partially through the cut hole opening that you're going to cut in the wall. And then again, these two come together, and as you tighten those screws, this inner frame ring will have nowhere to go because this flange right here will be sitting on the inner surface of your interior wall. And as you tighten those screws, this window is going to get drawn inward and it's going to compress this rubber seal. So when you place your order for your windows on ternoverland.com, it's going to ask you for your wall thickness. And we have 4 different inner frame rings to accommodate various wall thicknesses. All of our windows are measured in metric. We'll throw a graphic up that will have the US imperial measurements as well, but we'll refer to everything in millimeters for the purpose of this conversation. So we have a very thin inner frame ring for a 24 to 34 millimeter wall. That's the smallest wall thickness that we can accommodate. There are ways to basically shim that, and we'll go over that in a different video. And we also have that information in our installation guide on our website at ternoverland.com. The next one is going to be a 35 to 44 millimeter wall, then a 45-54. We have a gap in coverage after that, and the next available thickness we have is for very thick walls such as composites or vans, and that is for a 64 to 74 millimeter wall thickness. One important thing to note is that when you get these inner frame rings, for instance, this 24 to 34 millimeter one, the actual thickness of the inner frame ring is not going to be 24 to 34 millimeters. It's an inner frame ring to accommodate a 24 to 34 millimeter wall. So that's an important thing to remember. Now we're going to actually measure a wall. Now on this wall, we have the luxury of already having a cut hole opening, which you are likely not going to have unless this is a fresh custom build. Just for the sake of this video, we'll go ahead and measure this. So this wall has a pretty traditional construction that you would see in a trailer or a box van build. So you can see here we have some thin exterior sheet metal, we have some 1-inch square steel tubing, and then we have some wood paneling. So I'm just actually going to measure this guy. And right there, that comes out to 33.46 millimeters. So that would be at the very end of the spectrum for a 24 to 34 millimeter wall. If you happen to have a wall that was, let's say, 34 and a half, that would put you right between the 24 to 34 wall thickness and the 35 to 44. If you ever find yourself in the middle of one of those measurements, you'll always want to select the thinner of the wall thickness options. So this one, we're going to go ahead and place our order for a 24 to 34 millimeter wall thickness, because it is actually 33.42 inches. Now, if you are not building your camper from scratch, you're probably going to have to do a little bit of estimating. So if you've got a trailer that's fully built out with the skin and the inner structure and some sort of wall surface, you would have to do a little bit of excavating, cut basically a small hole so you can see what's in that wall. If you have a van, the sheet metal is going to be added to that measurement. And of course, you're not going to know what that sheet metal is before you cut it. but we'll throw a graphic up on here that shows you the typical sheet metal thicknesses for like a Ford Transit, a ProMaster, or a Mercedes Sprinter. All right, here we have a frame made out of 1-inch square steel tubing that we'll use as a demonstration. So here we have the window set into the framework that we've built. And you'll notice that as this window comes in and gets pressed up against this exterior wall, this window seal right here is actually going to sit on the exterior portion of the vehicle, the exterior wall. And then as you install that inner frame ring from the opposite side, it's going to squeeze this window into place, and it's going to compress that seal that we just looked at. That's what makes this window watertight. There is no sealant required on the outside of this, but the inner frame ring that we'll show you in a moment here is what actually draws this window inward and compresses that seal. Okay, so now we have the inner frame ring loosely installed. We're going to come around from this side, and you'll notice that as this is tightened up, this flange is going to rest on the inner surface of the interior wall. So as these screws are tightened, this inner frame ring can't go any further. So what that's going to do is it's going to pull the window inward on the exterior surface, and again, it will compress that gasket. Again, we have our dummy wall here that was 1 inch thick. I've added these 2 spacers here to illustrate a 2-inch thick wall, and why that's important from a visual perspective to get the correct inner frame ring depth. So as I install this inner frame ring in our newly expanded wall, you'll notice the inner frame ring has bottomed out on this, what we'll call the interior surface. And if we look on the inside here, this portion you see here, that would be our exposed wall cavity. And so this inner frame ring wouldn't be deep enough to basically come all the way in and cover that exposed wall cavity. So you need the correct inner frame ring depth from a visual perspective, an aesthetic perspective, and also for the structural integrity to make sure that that window is secure in your wall and that it properly compresses the window seal when the inner frame ring is screwed to the window body. All right, so that concludes our wall thickness overview. If you have any questions, please reach out to us on our website at ternoverland.com.